My beloved child, stop right now. Do not scroll past this moment. Do not let the habit of rushing pull you forward before you have truly heard what I am about to say. Before you take your next breath, before the noise of your day closes back in around you, I need you to understand something with complete clarity. You did not arrive here by accident. Heaven aligned this exact second in time to bring your eyes to these words, and the fact that you stopped, even for a moment, is not random. That is my hand on your attention, calling you back to a conversation I have been trying to have with you for a very long time. I have called you 7 times. I want you to sit with that for a moment before I explain what it means. 7 times I have stretched out my hand toward your spirit. 7 times I have sent you a signal, clear enough that part of you recognized it, urgent enough that it interrupted whatever else you were doing in that moment. 7 different seasons, 7 different forms, 7 different kinds of pain and disruption and unexplained stirring in your chest. And each time, something pulled your attention back before the message fully landed. My child, there is something dangerous approaching your life right now. I am not saying this to fill you with dread. I am not standing over you as a judge delivering a sentence. I am saying it the way a father says it when he sees his child walking toward a road he cannot yet see, is not safe, with urgency, yes, but with every syllable of that urgency wrapped in love. I see what you cannot see from where you are standing. I see the terrain ahead, and I am not willing to let you walk into it unprepared. Think about what a warning from me actually means. When I speak a warning to someone I love, I am not predicting their defeat. I am preventing it. Every single warning I have ever given in the history of human existence was an act of protection. I did not warn Noah because I wanted to frighten him. I warned him because I loved him enough to tell the truth before the rain came. I did not warn Elijah to make him feel small. I warned him because I needed him alive and rested for what was next. A warning from me is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your preparation. You have been feeling something lately, have you not? Not a specific fear you can name, not a concrete problem you can point to, but a quiet unease, a sense that something is shifting in ways you cannot see clearly, a restlessness in your chest that refuses to be explained away with logic. You have told yourself it is stress. You have told yourself it is tiredness. You have pushed it down and moved through your day, but it comes back, especially in the quiet, especially in the still moments before sleep, especially when you find yourself alone with your own thoughts. That is not anxiety misfiring. That is me. That has been me calling to you, pressing on the soft place of your spirit, trying to get your attention before something reaches you that I need you to be ready for. Stay with me. Give me your full attention for these next several minutes. Not out of obligation, not out of religious duty, not because you are afraid of what I might say if you walk away. Stay because something in you already knows that this message was placed in your path with intention. Stay because the version of you that is 7 calls in and still listening is the version of you that I designed you to be, awake, attentive, brave enough to hear the truth even when it is uncomfortable. I am about to tell you everything. I am about to reveal all 7 calls, and I am going to tell you precisely what is coming, and more than that, I am going to show you exactly how to stand when it arrives. My beloved, before I take you through the 7 calls, before I name what is coming, I need to say something I have wanted to say to you for longer than you realize. I see you, not the version of you that the world sees, not the competent, composed, holding it together version that you perform for the people around you so they do not worry, not the steady voice on the phone or the smile at the table, or the encouraging word you offer others, even when your own heart is running on empty. I see the real version of you, the one who waits until everyone else is asleep before allowing the tears that have been building all day to finally fall. I was there every single time, every quiet breakdown in the car before you walked into the building and put your face back together, every moment in the bathroom when you needed 3 minutes alone with the door locked just to breathe and remind yourself you could keep going. Every night you lay in the dark running through the questions that do not have clean answers, the ones about timing and purpose and whether any of this pain has been worth anything at all. I was in every single one of those moments, not watching from a distance, not taking notes from a detached position of divine observation, but present, close, carrying the weight of those moments alongside you in ways you could not feel but that were absolutely real. You have been the strong one for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to not have to be. You have been the person who shows up, who holds things together, who absorbs the shock of the crises of those around you, and manages them with grace while managing your own in private. You have been the one people call when they are falling apart, and you have caught them every time, and you have done it genuinely, not from resentment but from a real and generous heart. But somewhere in the middle of all that giving, in the quiet accumulation of all that holding, a part of you began to wonder whether anyone would ever hold you back. I noticed, I have always noticed, every sacrifice you made that no one acknowledged, I saw it. Every time you chose integrity when the easier path was available and nobody would have known the difference, I saw it. Every time you poured out what little was left in you to take care of someone else, every time you bit your tongue when you could have defended yourself, every time you chose grace over retaliation in a situation that fully justified your anger, I saw every single one. Your faithfulness has not been invisible to me, not one act of it, not one moment of it. You have been lonely in ways that are difficult to put into words, not just the ordinary loneliness of being alone in a room, but the deeper kind, the kind that sits right beside you in a full room, the loneliness of being misunderstood by the people closest to you, of carrying a sense of purpose and calling that you cannot quite explain and that others around you do not seem to feel. And in some deep and private place, you know you were made for something that your current life does not yet fully reflect. That longing is not delusion. That longing is not impatience or ingratitude. That longing is me, pulling on the deepest thread of your spirit, calling you toward the life I designed specifically for you. And I know the confusion that has wrapped itself around that calling. Because you are a person of faith, you have followed me. You have tried to walk in obedience, to make choices that honor what you believe, to stay close to the path I set before you. But doors have closed that you were certain I opened. Relationships have ended that you were sure were part of my plan. Seasons have stretched on far past the point where they were supposed to resolve, and in the middle of that prolonged waiting, a quiet and persistent fear has crept in and whispered to you that perhaps you missed something, that perhaps you stepped off the path somewhere and did not notice, that perhaps you have been walking in the wrong direction without realizing it. My child, hear me clearly on this. You did not miss me. You did not accidentally step off the path and end up somewhere I cannot reach you. Every single thing that has looked like delay in your life, every closed door, every departure, every season that has lasted longer than you could comfortably explain, has been me. Not me abandoning you. Not me turning away. Me working. Me redirecting. Me protecting you from things that were designed to look like blessings, but would have cost you your calling, your peace, your integrity, or all three. I need you to hold that truth as a foundation for everything I am about to say. Let me tell you about the first call. It came to you in a season that probably looked stable from the outside. Nothing was obviously wrong. Life was moving, things were functioning, there were no catastrophic events pulling at your attention. But there was this feeling, an unease you could not assign a cause to. A quiet restlessness in your chest that would not sit still, that surfaced at odd moments, that made you stop in the middle of ordinary tasks because something inside you would not settle. You told yourself it was nothing. You told yourself to stop overthinking, but it would not let you go. That was me. That unease was not a malfunction of your nervous system. That was my hand pressing on the soft place of your awareness, trying to interrupt the momentum of a direction that was not going to end well for you. I was not trying to make you anxious. I was trying to make you pause, to slow the speed of what you were moving toward long enough for me to show you something you needed to see. I was trying to redirect your attention to a warning sign that your forward momentum was about to carry you past. That was the first call, and I watched you feel it and push it away, and I loved you enough to keep calling. The second call came through a closed door. You had prayed for that door. You had prepared for it, imagined what life would look like on the other side of it, aligned your expectations and your hopes around the possibility of what it represented, and then it shut. Not slowly, not with a soft apology, with a finality that took your breath away for a moment. And in the silence that followed, you looked inward and tried to figure out what you had done wrong, what failure on your part had caused this outcome, what you should have said differently or done differently or been differently for the answer to have been yes. But my child, you did not do anything wrong. That door closed because on the other side of it was a room I could not let you enter. A room that looked from the outside like the answer to your prayer, but that contained within it things that would have quietly eroded the very qualities in you that I need for what is coming. Things that would have chipped away at your discernment, your peace, your ability to hear me clearly. I could see the whole room. You could only see the door. And because I love you more than I love your comfort, I closed the door before you could walk through it. That was my second call, spoken in the language of a door I locked to protect you. The third call came through a person who walked away. This one left a mark, did it not? This was not a casual separation or a drift of circumstance. This was someone you had genuinely loved, someone into whom you had poured real and vulnerable parts of yourself, someone whose presence in your life had felt like confirmation that things were moving in a good direction. And then something changed, or you found out something, or the distance grew too large to bridge, and they were gone. And the grief of that loss settled into places in you that you did not let anyone else see. You blamed yourself. You replayed the history looking for the moment you could have changed the outcome. You asked me why you had been allowed to invest so much in something that was just going to leave. And I heard every one of those questions, and I held every one of those tears, and I want to tell you now what I could not tell you clearly in the middle of that grief. That person leaving was not evidence that you are too much or not enough or difficult to love or destined to lose every relationship that matters to you. That separation was a repositioning, a deliberate and loving repositioning that created the space I needed to bring into your life the relationships that are actually built for your destiny. The fourth call came through a dream. Perhaps you remember it clearly. Perhaps it has faded to the impression of a feeling rather than specific images. But there was a dream, or more than one, that lingered after you woke in a way that ordinary dreams do not linger. A dream that sat with you through the morning hours, that came back to you unexpectedly during the day, that left behind a kind of residue that could only be described as significance. Perhaps there was a presence in the dream that felt less like a construction of your imagination and more like a genuine encounter. Perhaps there was a word, a single word, that you heard clearly and that you wrote down or held in your memory. I speak through the night because the daytime is loud. When the body finally stops and the conscious mind begins to release its grip, I have an opening to reach the deeper levels of your spirit in ways that the noise and busyness of waking life prevent. If you have had a dream that carried a sense of my presence, that feeling was not your imagination being dramatic. That was real. If you heard something in a dream that has come back to you in the waking hours, I want you to hold on to that thread. I was calling you through the night, through the thin space of your sleep, trying to reach the part of you that would be too busy to hear me during the day. The fifth call came through a word that stopped you cold. Perhaps it was a line from a song that came on at exactly the moment you needed it. A line so precisely targeted at your specific situation that you had to turn it off or turn it up. You could not be indifferent to it. Perhaps it was a verse from Scripture, one you had read dozens of times before without it moving you, that on one particular morning and one particular moment caught fire in your mind in a way that felt entirely new. Perhaps it was something someone said in passing, something they did not intend as significant, a casual remark that lodged itself in you like an arrow and would not come out. Those are not coincidences. I do not work in coincidences. I work in divine placements. I place the right word in the right person at the right moment to do the work that only that specific word can do. I placed that word in your path because I needed it to find you, needed it to confirm something you were questioning or correct something you were about to do, or comfort something that had been quietly bleeding inside you. That word was not random. That word was me, calling your name through a voice that was not the speaker, calling you back to the truth of what I had already told you, calling you to trust the things I had already spoken. That was my fifth call. The sixth call came through your tears. Not the tears you cry in front of other people, the ones you cry alone. The ones that surprise you sometimes, that come at moments that catch you off guard, in the shower when the water is loud enough to cover the sound, in the car when you finally have enough privacy to stop performing, in the middle of the night when the accumulated weight of everything you have been carrying tips over some invisible threshold, and all of it comes out at once. Those tears, I know them. I have counted every single one. Your tears are not weakness. I want to say that with enough force that it reaches the place in you where you have stored the shame of them. Your tears are not evidence that you cannot handle your life, or that your faith is failing, or that you have somehow ended up in a worse place than you should be at this point in your story. Your tears are the overflow of a soul that has been carrying more than any soul was designed to carry in isolation. They are the natural, honest response of a heart that has been told to be strong for too long. And in every one of those private weeping moments, I was there, not standing back respectfully at a distance to give you space. Right there, closer than your own breathing, holding the weight of what was overflowing, calling you, through your own tears, into a deeper surrender than you had yet been willing to make. Now I need you to pause here for a moment and consider the pattern of those 6 calls. Look at what they have in common. Not one of them came through comfort. Not one of them came through ease or prosperity or a season of smooth progress. Every single time I reached out to you in these 6 calls, I reached through a disruption, through a door closing, through a person leaving, through a dream in the night, through pain, through tears. And that pattern is not by accident. There is something deeply important inside that pattern, and I need you to understand it before I tell you about what is coming. The reason I have called you through difficulty rather than through ease is that difficulty is the only frequency on which your spirit has been fully listening. When things are comfortable, when life is moving forward without friction, the human soul has a tendency to grow spiritually drowsy in ways that look like peace, but are actually a kind of dangerous slumber. When everything is fine, you do not press in. When everything is working, you do not lean hard on my voice, and I am not criticizing you for that. That is the ordinary human condition. But I needed you awake. I needed you sharp. I needed the kind of attentiveness that only comes when the ground shifts beneath you. I was not making your life harder out of cruelty. I was using the only moments when I had your complete and undivided attention to say what I needed to say. And there is a 7th call. It is happening right now, in this moment, as my words find your spirit and something in you responds to them. This is the call that is different from all the others. The previous 6 were preparation. This one is the moment of alignment, the moment when the preparation meets the revelation, the moment when I am finally able to tell you directly, with clarity rather than in the language of closed doors and quiet tears, what all of it has been building toward. This 7th call is not just a message, it is a moment of decision, because what I am about to tell you will require a response. My beloved, let me now tell you what is coming. I am going to name it clearly and specifically, not to terrify you, but to arm you. Because the moment you can see a danger clearly, with eyes that are open rather than eyes that are squeezed shut in fear, it loses most of its power over you. That is how I work. I do not give my children vague, shadowy warnings that leave them trembling in the dark. I give specific revelation so that they can make specific preparation. I trust you enough to tell you the truth, and the truth is this. What is coming is not primarily a physical danger. What is approaching your life in this season is a spiritual assault, a targeted and deliberate attack against 3 specific things: your clarity, your identity, and your connection to my voice. The enemy has been watching your life carefully. He has observed the 6 calls I sent you. He watched the closed door and tried to use the grief from it to build a wall of bitterness between you and your trust in my goodness. He watched the person leave and tried to use that wound as evidence that you are fundamentally unlovable, that the pattern of your life is loss rather than abundance. He watched you cry in the dark and tried to use your exhaustion to construct the argument that I had forgotten you, that I was absent, that you were alone. He has been building something, thread by thread, wound by wound, disappointment by disappointment. The enemy has been constructing around your heart a kind of cage built out of the very pain that I intended for your growth. He takes what I allow and twists it. He takes the closed door that I closed to protect you and reframes it in your mind as rejection from me. He takes the person I removed from your path for your protection and spins the narrative of it into a story about your unworthiness. Everything he does is a perversion of what I am doing, and he is close now to a moment of intensified effort. The season of deception that is coming is one in which his activity will increase, specifically because something I have been building in you is getting very close to completion. The danger that is coming is a season of heightened spiritual deception, a season where things that are false will present themselves as true with unusual sophistication, where paths that lead away from your calling will be decorated to look exactly like the path I have for you, where voices that do not originate with me will speak in language that sounds familiar, that echoes the vocabulary of your faith, that says the right words but carries a wrong spirit underneath them. This is not the obvious kind of attack. This is not the attack that announces itself with warning signs everyone can see. This is the subtle one, the quiet one, the one that arrives dressed in the language of opportunity and wisdom. And I need you to understand something critical about why this particular form of attack is being leveled at you right now. The enemy does not waste his most sophisticated weapons on people who pose no threat to him. He does not deploy this level of deception against souls who have already given up, who have already walked away from their calling, who are already spiritually asleep and drifting. He reserves this for the ones who are on the edge of breaking through, the ones who, if they step across the threshold in front of them, will do damage to his kingdom that he cannot afford. He is coming at you with everything he has, not because you are losing, but because you are dangerously close to winning. Think about what that means. The attacks you have endured across these 6 calls have been the enemy trying to stop something he could see coming that you could not. He was not attacking your present. He was terrified of your future, of what the fully formed, fully aligned version of you is capable of. He has been doing everything in his power to make sure you never get there. But here is the thing about the strategy of the enemy that he consistently forgets. He uses pain, but I redeem it. He uses closed doors, but I am the one who decides which doors close and which ones open. He uses loss, but I restore what he takes and add to it what he never intended to give. Every single weapon he has aimed at you across these 6 calls has ended up in my hands and been transformed into a tool of your formation. He meant to break you. I used it to build you. He meant to silence you. I used the silence to speak. He meant to isolate you. I used the isolation to draw you closer to me than you had ever been. I want to tell you about Joseph. He was called early, given dreams that pointed to a great destiny, and then everything that could go wrong did go wrong. His brothers threw him into a pit. He was sold into slavery, taken far from everything he knew. He found favor in a new place and built something good, and then a false accusation stripped it away. He was thrown into prison for something he did not do. Layer after layer of injustice and loss fell on him, and in every single layer, I was there. Joseph did not understand the full picture from inside the prison cell. He could not see from where he sat how everything that had happened to him was being woven into something that would ultimately position him to save not just himself, but an entire generation. He had the dream, but he could not trace the route from the dream to the fulfillment because the route ran through a pit and a slave market and a prison. And yet he kept listening. He kept his heart oriented toward me. He kept his integrity intact even when no one would have blamed him for abandoning it. And when the moment of his promotion came, he was ready. Not despite everything he had endured, but because of it. The pain had built in him exactly what was needed for exactly the assignment that was waiting. You are in a Joseph season. You are in the territory between the dream and the fulfillment, in the space where the enemy is trying to use the evidence of your current circumstances to argue that the dream was never real. You are in the place where what I told you at the beginning and what your present reality looks like are so far apart that it takes everything you have to hold on to what I said. And I need you to hear me on this. What looks like the pit is part of the path. What looks like the prison is the place of preparation. The season of loss and confusion that you have been walking through has not been a detour from your destiny. It has been the road to it. You are standing right now, my child, at a threshold that the enemy has spent years trying to prevent you from reaching. Every attack you have absorbed, every call you received that left you confused or grieving or exhausted, has been the enemy throwing everything he had at the door that is now standing open in front of you, and you are still standing. You made it through the closed door season. You made it through the loss of that relationship. You made it through the night that felt like it would never end. You made it through the season when my silence felt so loud that you were not sure faith was a rational choice anymore, and you are still here, still listening, still leaning toward my voice when everything in the natural world would have justified giving up. That is not ordinary. That is the specific quality of spirit that I selected when I chose you. Not because you are without weakness or fear, not because you have handled everything perfectly, but because the core of you, the deepest part, the part that no circumstance or attack has been able to fully silence, has continued to say yes to me even when it hurt, even when it did not make sense, even when there was no visible reward for the faithfulness. That is the quality that makes what is coming not something to fear, but something you are genuinely ready for. Let me now speak over you as a declaration. I am stripping the enemy of the weapons he has been collecting from your pain. The lie that tells you you have been forgotten, I cancel it now in the full authority of my name. The lie that says your best days are behind you and the life you were meant to live has passed you by, I cancel it completely. The lie that says the patterns of your family, the cycles of brokenness and limitation and repeated loss that have run through the generations before you are your destiny and not your assignment to end, I cancel it. The lie that says you are too damaged or too far gone or too old or too unknown or too ordinary to be trusted with a great calling, I cancel every syllable of it. You are a cycle breaker. That is not a metaphor, and it is not an encouragement meant to make you feel better in a difficult moment. It is the specific truth of your assignment in this generation. You are the one I selected from within your family line to be the interruption, the one whose awakening and obedience snaps the chain that has bound the generations before you. You do not have to carry the weight of what your parents carried or what their parents carried. The cycles end with you, not because you are exceptionally strong, but because I am standing behind you with a strength that is not yours and does not depend on your capacity. The generational patterns die in your generation, and their absence is what your children will inherit. You are a silent warrior. You have been fighting battles that most people in your life could not see and would not understand even if you tried to explain them. You have been engaged in spiritual conflict in spaces and seasons where there was no visible opponent, no enemy that anyone else could identify, just a weight and a resistance that you could feel and that others dismissed as depression or overthinking or a phase you would grow out of. You have held the line in those invisible battles when every natural indicator said that letting go was the rational choice, and you did not do it alone. Every time you felt like you were fighting by yourself, I was the one on the other side of the weight you were pushing against, bearing the part that would have crushed you if I had let you carry it unaided. The attack that is coming does not get to win. I need you to hear that with a completeness that settles into your bones, not as a hopeful sentiment, not as a religious platitude that sounds good but does not carry weight, as an absolute and non-negotiable statement of divine authority. The assault that is approaching your life, the season of deception and intensified spiritual warfare that I have been warning you about throughout this message, does not have permission to destroy you. It is permitted to test you, to push against the edges of your discernment, to require the exercise of everything I have been building in you through these 6 calls. But the outcome is not in question. You do not go into this season as someone who might survive if everything goes well. You go in as someone who has already been told how it ends, and it ends with you standing. My beloved, here is what I am asking of you. Not perfection, not the resolution of every question this season of pain has left inside you, not the feeling of readiness or the absence of fear. I am asking for only one thing, and it is the one thing that opens every door I have prepared for you. I am asking for your trust, not the polished, Sunday morning version of trust that costs you nothing because the circumstances are favorable. I am asking for the raw and imperfect and sometimes barely hanging on version of trust that says, I do not fully understand what you are doing. I cannot see the whole picture from where I am standing, but I know who you are, and I am choosing to believe you anyway. That is the posture that makes you genuinely untouchable to what is coming, not invincible to pain, not immune to difficulty or confusion or the season of increased pressure that lies ahead, but undestroyable in the place that actually matters. When your identity is not housed in what you have or what you have achieved or what other people think of you, when it is rooted in who you are to me, when the enemy comes with his lies and his accusations and his sophisticated deceptions, he finds no foundation to build on. The false things have nowhere to stand in a heart that is genuinely surrendered to the truth of my love. Take a breath right now. Actually take it. Fill your lungs completely. Let your shoulders drop down from wherever they have climbed to. Let the coiled tightness in your chest soften, just for this moment, because I am right here. This is not a message arriving from some distant location. This is not a God speaking into your life from far away in abstract and general terms. I am present in this moment, in the specific geography of whatever you are carrying today, whatever weight followed you into this message, whatever question has been sitting unanswered in the back of your mind for the last several weeks. I am here, and I see it all. I see the specific burden you were carrying when you first stopped to read these words. I see the relationship that is strained right now, and the conversation that you are not sure how to have. I see the financial pressure that has been compressing the space of your joy. I see the grief you are still holding from something that happened longer ago than you would admit, something you told yourself you were over but that still surfaces in the quiet moments. I see the dream you have almost given up on, the one you stopped telling people about because the gap between where you are and where that dream lives had become too painful to keep acknowledging. I see it all, and not one piece of it is too large for me. Not one thing on that list is beyond my ability to redeem. I want you to hear that without the filter of reasonable doubt or practical realism, or whatever internal voice immediately begins to list the reasons that statement cannot apply to your specific situation. Every situation that you are tempted to exclude from the scope of my power, I need you to consciously include. I have turned around things that were further gone than where you currently are. I have restored what every natural indicator said was dead beyond recovery. I have opened doors that were sealed from both sides. I have placed people in situations that every external measurement called hopeless and brought out something the situation itself never had the ability to produce. I will do it for you too. I am already doing it. The groundwork for your next season has been laid in the unseen realm through every single one of those 6 calls you received. Every pain sowed a seed. Every closed door redirected you toward something better. Every tear watered ground that I have been tending with a patience that does not operate on your timeline, but that has not for a single moment been idle or indifferent. What I have been building in you through this season of preparation is ready to emerge, not eventually. Not in some indefinite future you will have to wait another decade for, soon, closer than your present perspective allows you to see. There is something I want to speak over you as a living declaration before you go forward from this moment. Receive this not as empty religious language, but as a specific and intentional word from the one who formed you and knows the exact weight of every call you have received and every battle you have fought. I declare that every weapon the enemy has formed against you in this coming season will fail to achieve its intended purpose. I declare that your discernment will be sharper in this next season than it has been in any previous season, sharper than the enemy is counting on, sharp enough to recognize the imitation voice, sharp enough to know the difference between the door I open and the door he decorates. I declare that the wisdom you need for every significant decision in the days ahead will be given to you at the precise moment you need it, not theoretically in advance so you can plan around it, but in the actual moment, with enough clarity to move with confidence. I declare that the relationships I am positioning in your life in this next season will be genuine, will be aligned with your purpose, will be ones that add to you rather than deplete you, that call out the best of who you are rather than requiring you to shrink yourself to maintain them. I declare that the doors I open for you in this season will be ones that no level of enemy deception can convincingly imitate, because they will carry the signature of my presence in ways you will recognize immediately. My child, I want you to lay it down now, all of it, right here, right now, in this moment of encounter. The fear about what is coming, lay it at my feet. The grief from the seasons that have already passed, lay it down. The confusion about the timing of your life, the bitterness from the disappointments, the shame from the moments you fell short and have been quietly carrying the memory of, the exhaustion from the long and invisible fight, the weight of the needs of others that you have been holding because you did not know how to put it down without feeling like you had failed them. Lay all of it down here. You were not designed to carry any of that alone. That is not a gentle way of saying you are weak. It is the plain truth about how I built you. I built you for connection with me, for the kind of dependence on my presence and my strength that operates not as a crutch that diminishes you, but as a root system that anchors you so deeply in my love that nothing above the ground can knock you over. The rest I am inviting you into is not the rest of someone who has stopped fighting. It is the rest of someone who has finally stopped fighting alone. My beloved, you heard the 7th call. You are here. That is not a small thing. The fact that you stayed with this message, that you did not scroll past, that something in you recognized this as a word you needed and you were willing to receive it, is itself an act of faith, and I do not take that lightly. I am meeting that act of faith with the fullness of my presence, and I am carrying you forward from this moment into the next chapter of your story with everything I am. Do not be afraid of what is coming. Be prepared, because you are prepared. I have spent these past minutes speaking the preparation directly into your spirit, and it has landed in the places it needed to reach. The 7 calls have been received. The warning has been heard, and a heard warning from a father who loves you is not a sentence, it is a gift. It means you are loved enough to be told the truth before the difficulty arrives, rather than after it has already had its way with you. It means you are trusted with the information I gave to Joseph and to Daniel and to Elijah, the information that made the difference between them being destroyed by their seasons and coming through those seasons into a greater purpose than they started with. Go forward from this moment without fear. Go forward knowing that you have been warned, which means you have been loved, and that you have been equipped, which means I believe in your ability to use what I have given you. Go forward with this truth sealed into your spirit. The God who has called you 7 times across every kind of season, through every kind of pain, through every kind of silence, is not going to stop calling. I will be with you in everything that is coming. I am already in it, already working ahead of you, already preparing the ground you have not yet reached, and the outcome is not in question. I have never lost anyone I have promised to keep. Now, if this message has spoken to something real in your spirit today, I want you to respond. Not as a transaction, not because a response earns you anything or unlocks something that was otherwise unavailable to you. Respond because a response is the natural movement of a heart that has genuinely been touched, the honest acknowledgement that something landed in a place that needed to be reached. Write the words, "I am listening," in the comments right now. Let those words be your declaration that you received the seventh call, that you are choosing to remain awake, that you are saying yes to what I am placing before you in this season. Those two words are your agreement with everything that was spoken here today. Like this message as a small act of agreement between your heart and mind, let that gesture be your acknowledgement that something in what was said today was real and true and meant for you. And if there is someone in your life right now who is in the middle of a hard season, someone who is exhausted and confused and fighting battles they have not named out loud, someone who needs to hear that they have not been forgotten and that what they are going through has purpose, share this with them. Do not keep this word to yourself. Be the instrument I use to reach another soul who has been waiting for this message the way you have been waiting for it. Subscribe so that you do not miss what I am still preparing to speak over your life. This conversation is not finished. The messages that are coming in the days ahead are ones I have specifically prepared for the season you are entering, for the threshold you are standing on, for the person you are becoming through everything you have endured. You do not want to walk into what is next without hearing what I still have to say. Stay connected, stay close, stay surrendered to the one who has never once let you go. My child, I love you, not as a closing line or a religious formality. I love you with the love that knew your name before the world did, that formed you in the quiet and counted every piece of you worth keeping before you had done anything to earn it. I love you with the love that has been chasing you through every season of joy and every season of wreckage, that called you 7 times and would have called you 700 more, because that is the nature of a love that does not give up and does not run out and does not recalculate its worth based on your performance. You are mine, and I am yours. And nothing that is approaching you in this next season, no attack, no deception, no whisper of the enemy in your most exhausted moment, will ever have the power to change that foundational and unshakable truth. Go forward unafraid, my beloved. You were warned, which means you were loved. You were prepared, which means you were chosen. And the one who called you 7 times is the same one who walks with you into everything that comes next, who has already been there waiting, who will never leave you to face any of it alone. I am with you. I am for you, and that is more than enough.